A new creation. Hello, Malcolm here. Welcome to Quiet Time Coaching, episode 532 and the New Creation series, part 23. Today, learning the new death. Doesn't sound very attractive, but let's see how we get on. The premise of this whole series is that God is loving us into spiritual character growth as promised in 2 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 18. And for this, Jesus is our inspiration as we follow him. So today we're going to talk about learning to embrace the death of Jesus. And what we're talking about here is laying down our life for Jesus. Let's think about what that means. So what kind of life are we giving up when we lay it down for Jesus? Are we being called to martyrdom? I mean, when Jesus talked about his departure in John 13, it seems that was what Peter understood his fate to be. Jesus said, "Where I'm going, you cannot follow, you will later." And Peter asked, "Lord, why can't I follow you now? I will lay down my life for you." Now, from what we know of church history, Peter did in fact lay down his physical life for Jesus. However, the life of self-death we live as disciples is not bios but psyche. In other words, it is not our physical life, but our inner orientations and agendas. We're not called to an obliteration of self, but a recalibration and a reorientation. Because we follow Jesus, we have a new center. Oswald Chambers wrote this: "It is much easier to die than to lay down your life day in and day out with the sense of the high calling of God." So what happens when we live this living death? When we follow like this, we develop what someone called the radiance of Christ. See, when we live for Christ, people see more of him in us. Dr. Paul Brand wrote, "Denying ourselves leads to a more abundant life." And why is this the case? Well, it's because Jesus only has our best interests at heart. And he knows that a life lived like his in our lives gives us life in all its fullness. That's John chapter 10, verse 10, isn't it? So when we trust Jesus to the extent of living for him, we discover something. We discover that joy comes from sacrifice. What a paradox. Philip Yancey put it this way: in the exchange, in other words, living his life, not ours, in the exchange, the advantage clearly rests on our side. Crusty selfishness peels away to reveal the love of God expressed through our own hands, which in turn reshapes us into God's own image. This is how transformation happens. Living the life of Christ instead of our own lives, dying to ourselves day by day. So a couple of questions for reflection before we wrap up. How do you view this whole idea of dying to self? Timothy Keller termed it self-forgetfulness. Is it attractive? Is it repulsive? Is it rather scary? Or is it inspiring? What would help you to embrace dying to self? Not resisting it, not fearing it, but embracing it. What would help you to do that? What part does your relationship with Jesus have in that? Embracing dying to self. You see, God is on your side. He wants nothing more than for you to enjoy life in all of its fullness every day. And for that to happen, a daily death is necessary. Jesus shows us how to go this way. He is our inspiration. Next time, we will wrap up this series by reflecting on how we practice the presence of Jesus. I hope you found this helpful. If so, drop me a line, malcolm@malcolmcox.org. If you'd like my ebook on spiritual discipline, sign up for the newsletter at my website. I do hope and pray that you enjoy walking with God today. Take care and God bless.